I feel like I'm swimming in the light rays right now. Welcome, if you are here from my Life is But a Dream video. Life is but a dream. What if I told you that all of your memories, all of your past experiences, childhood, everything that you know is all just a dream. And that at any moment you can choose to become aware of the dream, you can become conscious of the dream, and then that is how you can choose to create a different dream. Does that click? How do we become aware of the dream? So I wanted to share my story of how I became a full-time travel photographer and content creator. My name is Monica Fori. I travel the world. I work with the world's leading travel brands and lifestyle brands, and I feel so grateful and lucky and blessed to be able to call this my reality. And it was not my reality a few years ago. I was a Big Four technology consultant, and my soul felt like it was dying. I felt so sad and stuck and miserable, just stuck in the grind, stuck in the commute, stuck in the day-to-day rush of life. I had back pain, I had eye twitches, and I didn't feel like I was living in alignment with my purpose, with my path. I felt like there was so much more to life, and I remember anyone that I would complain to, my mentors, my peers, my bosses, anyone around me, I'd just be like, there's no way that this is all there is. There's got to be more to life. And everyone would just kind of tell me, welcome to adulthood. That's just how it is. Welcome to the grind. And I was a recently graduated college girl, and I remember feeling like, there's no way this is it. There was an itch. There was a tickle on my heart, one could call it. A whisper from my soul. A whisper from my higher self, me now, pulling me to trust my intuition, to trust my heart, that there was something more, that there was something greater that was guiding me, that was calling me, that was pulling me into a future that existed, a different dream, a different reality than the existence that I was stuck into living, the prescribed mold or model that I was kind of born into. And so when I started to become aware of that tickle, of that whisper from my intuition, that's when I started to read books. I started to read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and I also started to do Tony Robbins events. And that is what cracked open my mindset. I started to realize the box I found myself living in and start to kind of make my way out of that box and eventually break through that box during COVID. That's right before is when I moved out from Virginia, where I was born and raised, to Denver, Colorado. And I did the first ever Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within virtual. I broke through a piece of wood, which I never thought was possible. And that represented for me breaking through, shattering all the limitations that had held me back in the past from living the dream life that I wanted to live. I broke through and I had a dream, I had a vision of becoming a full-time travel photographer, traveling the world, having location independence, financial freedom, getting paid by some of the world's leading global travel brands to be able to travel and share stories and inspire people from all over the world. And I did that in 1 year. I made that my reality. That was July of 2020. I set that goal. I set that intention. I broke through all my limiting beliefs that were holding me back from creating that new life. And most importantly, I took action. That's what the 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss taught me, was the dream lighting process. By dreaming a different dream and setting actions for today, the next day, and the day after. What are the small steps that you're going to take that will align you with this new reality, that will align you with the new direction you want to go in? And that's exactly what I started to do. I was terrified of sharing my photos and my motivational messages and my inspiration online. But piece by piece, I started to share. I started to post photos on my anonymous Instagram page, Mazza Travel, and throwback to the Mazza Travel days. And I started to share on that Instagram page some of my photos, my travels, little inspirational captions that were from the heart. And that started to reach people and it started to grow. And I did it every single day. I would show up and I would share. and I loved the mountains, but I was craving the ocean. And so that's when I moved to Hawaii. And there I really was committed. I was working my East Coast hours corporate job while living in Hawaii. So that's a 6-hour time zone difference, waking up super early in the morning, doing that job for 8 hours. And then after that, going out and about on hikes and adventures, creating content, improving my photography, posting it online, telling stories, really, really doing the best I could to make this business a reality, to make this dream a reality, to make that dream, that life is but a dream, into a different dream, into a different reality. And so when I lived in Hawaii, I did that. And that's when brands started to notice. That's when some dream brands started reaching out to me, like Prana and Columbia, and eventually United Airlines and Chase, JP Morgan Chase, the credit card, the bank, they started to reach out to me. And that's what allowed me the opportunity to take that unpaid leave of absence and eventually quit my corporate job to be able to take my travel photography dream full time. And let me tell you, it was a dream, but it required me going through and peeling back layer after layer after layer of just limiting beliefs and lack of worthiness and criticism of self, criticism from others very close to me, layer by layer by layer. And I was like, great, I'm healed. I've reached the layer of full enlightenment. And then that's when I would be faced with yet another layer and another layer and another layer. So it was not just sunshine and rainbows. It was a constant process of facing myself, of facing these deep truths to uncover what lies within. And so my new dream, was to be able to travel the world full time with my travel photography business, to go on a world trip. And I made that dream a reality. I joined Tony Robbins Mastery University, and with that, I set off on my world trip. So I was traveling the world, and I was doing this Mastery University, which is business mastery, life and wealth mastery in Fiji. I won Leadership Academy, Unleash the Power Within, of course, and then Date with Destiny. And it absolutely transformed my reality. It allowed me to create this totally new life, this totally new and even more aligned mana to what was pulling me from my heart, that original pull on my heart, to start to live more and more in alignment with those whispers that were coming up for me on my heart, from my spirit, from my soul. And that's when it felt like I was riding this beautiful, magical wave that was pulling me. And yes, there were downsides of the waves. There were parts that would pull me back, but it was on a wave. It was on a path that I couldn't see. There was no prescribed path in front of me, but I was walking it. I was on the journey. And I felt total freedom and full alignment for the first time in my life. I was traveling in South America and Europe and Asia, and I got invited to Egypt with the tourism board and a group travel agency, and it was a dream come true. And it was amazing. And I also went through some very difficult shifts, like ending an engagement and dealing with heartbreak, and ultimately realizing that to create this new version of you, you have to let go of past versions of you. And that can hurt so much, but it ends up being what's best for both parties, for yourself, for the other, to live more in alignment with your path and your truth. And so I started to go through those changes and those waves. And then from there, so went through those changes and experienced that full freedom. And then there was a moment when I was traveling in Greece, and this was towards the end of the summer of 2022, when news started to break out of protests in Iran. Mahsa Amini had been killed for showing her hair, for not wearing hijab. She was a young Middle Eastern woman who looked just like me, and she was shot and killed. for showing her hair. And other young people who looked like me, who were my age, also started to be killed for expressing themselves, for expressing their freedom. And here I was at a parallel. I had just hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. I was being paid to travel the world. I was wearing a bikini in Greece, and I started to feel so guilty. I started to feel like, why have I been so blessed with all of this freedom and all of this opportunity? And my ancestors, my peers, my cousins, my sisters in Iran are being killed. How can I help? How can I step up? And that's when things shifted for me. I went to the next Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within, and I realized that it was time for me to use my platform, my voice. The women in Iran were fighting for women, life, freedom, for a voice to share, for equality, for the option to be able to choose and express their freedom in their own way. I had all this freedom, and I realized that it's time that I step up and I share and I use my voice and I use all these learnings and the Tony Robbins events and the mindset work I've done and the layers of the onion I've peeled back over and over and over again to develop that courage muscle through the near-death accident I went through in Bali and the out-of-body experience I had in the Temescal in Mexico, and how I felt my ancestors and my grandma were flying with me through these experiences. And I realized that it's time to start to share that. And so that's really when I stepped into sharing not only travel, but also the mindset and the motivation and the self-actualization, knowing thyself. And I started to incorporate that, and I built my Your Extraordinary Life community, which is where I stepped up to serve and to share. And I don't know where this path is leading me now. It led me to LA, where I lived in Los Angeles for a few years, and I experienced some great highs there, connecting with amazing people in the industry. And I also was exposed to a lot of truths that I'm very grateful to have seen, to now be aware of, and move forward in the light and decide how I want to use my voice and my platform to share the things that I've learned and the things that I know. And the things that I know, I have a deep knowingness to be true from all of the work that I've done to get to know myself on this path. So, I didn't know I could talk for that long without breathing. But they say when you're passionate about something, you kind of flow, and that all felt like a flow state for me just now. There's a 6-planet alignment going on right now, and my hope and my intention with anyone watching this, with wherever my videos end up on the internet, is that you remember that life is but a dream. You are not stuck. If you ever feel like you're stuck, if anyone ever makes you feel like you're stuck, you are not stuck. You can develop that courage, that sovereignty, that power within to break free and choose and create your own reality. And as much as it may feel like sometimes your physical body is stuck, they can never control your spirit and your soul. That is yours. That is yours to choose how you react, to choose how you respond. And I pray that you could reclaim that for yourself and choose to connect to the light and silence the voices and silence the fear and meet it with light. And remember that that life force energy that you have within you, the mana, is a never ending, it's a forever flow that's aligned and vibrant and magic, and it's flowing within you, and that's yours to cultivate and create and share with the world. So may you never forget that you are not stuck. You can wake up from the dream, and you can choose to dream a different dream and create a different dream and dance in the light rays of this existence. There's so much magic, and my name is Monica Ghaffori. Thank you so much for being here. Great blessings to you on your journey, Earthlings. Remember that life is but a dream.